When divorce wasn't the plan. When it wasn't the plan is the topic of conversation today. And I want to believe that all of us who fall in love, right, don't have that in our plan. We want to spend the rest of our life with that person. We make plans of living happily ever after, the end. But what happens to that couple who were making all these amazing plans to spending the rest of their lives together? What happened in the in-between? Why are they now so drift apart that it leads to a sad reality and inaction of divorce? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We welcome you to write your comments, even if you're catching the replay, and also share your experiences and ask us questions. But for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Ana Gil, and I am a headshot photographer and the host and producer of this show, Officially Unofficial, as well as two other shows that I co-host for Ecamm Network, who is the leading provider of Mac software and also the maker of this software that I'm using right now. So without further ado, allow me to introduce you to my guest. Her name, Kim Hernandez. And Kim is a certified life coach and also a WKA North American kickboxing champion and an ISKA Northeastern champion, a mother and a wife. Without further ado, Kim Hernandez.
Hi.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here with your busy schedule, right? I love. Thank you so much for taking time to be here with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And Kim, let's take it from you being all of those kickboxing. I'm like, okay, I see you.
Yeah, that was a great intro, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, that was quite a few years ago when I was a little bit younger. But I did. That was my gig for a while. I was a professional kickboxer, and I taught martial arts and kickboxing for 28 years.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, you didn't know about me either. I was a brown belt, right? I'm a brown belt, 2 stripes, just life happened and couldn't complete the black belt. But yeah, I was there too. So I know.
But it's never too late, right?
It is never too late. I've tried many times, but now I'm like, okay, I'm done, maybe. But I still enjoy kickboxing though. Kickboxing is great. So, but Kim, okay, enough of that. How about you give us a brief introduction of who Kim is as it relates to your life coaching business?
Okay, so after, like I said previously, for 28 years, I was a teacher and involved in the martial arts and went through a divorce. Mm-hmm. So then I kind of shifted gears a little bit and decided to help women in a different way. So at one point in time, I was helping them through the martial arts and training. And then I just kind of shifted gears and decided to go into a coaching, which still correlates to what I've done my entire life, teach and coach. We're just doing it a little bit differently now.
Okay. All right. So, and I mean, it is sort of like the same. And then me having gone through karate, the discipline, right, is mm-hmm. the same. You're applying those, you have to do this, and the mind, and it has to work together with the body and all that. So that's you make a really nice life coach after that,
I like coaching. I like helping people. I like helping them wherever their starting point is and then see where they want to go. Because that's how coaching is. Right. Coaching is helping somebody get from where they are to where they want to be. Mm-hmm. And then there's that, the process in between that you need a coach for. And mm-hmm. it's funny because they say, even the best athletes, you take any professional athlete and they all have a coach. Yeah. Because you're stuck kind of in your own blind spot sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it does help for somebody else to kind of nudge you along.
I mean, it is true. It's just like when we go to therapists, right? Like they go there mm-hmm. to put things into perspectives for us, It's like, okay, yeah, this is a situation, but there's also another situation, another point of view, perception and all that. So it's great having a life coach and mm-hmm. For that. But how about life coaching and divorce? I mean, I don't know how this is, but let's take it, right? Because divorce sucks.
It does.
It is. I want to say next to, honestly, like I don't want to be so dramatic here, but next to losing someone to the other world, right? Death, mm-hmm. divorce is next in terms of pain and everything that has to go through it and all the paperwork that comes with it. Like everyone involved is just horrible. Is horrible. So for those of you watching, you're in a relationship, honestly, I'm just going to start with this because most of the research I've done and, being in therapy, one of the suggestions that they strongly guide us to is trying, right? But sometimes you tried, but then the other person is not trying. Still try. Divorce sucks. Mm-hmm. Just saying divorce sucks. So if you can help it, stick through it, right? Stick through it if you can help it. If there is no abuse, right? Because you are not going to take abuse. This is your life. But if it is something else that can be worked on, try it. That's my advice for all of you, Kim.
And that's a tricky, because when you deal with relationships, right, there's a part of you that gets really involved in these relationships. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of nuances that go into relationships. So as far as divorce, because that encompasses, that's such a big word. And for a while it was interesting because I didn't like to hear the word divorce. Mm-hmm. Hearing it sounded like such a, when I was putting my website together, that I didn't want to use the word. It became like this. I don't want to have this word here. Mm-hmm. But then I kind of relaxed a little bit into it and changed my perspective with it. But it is a really tricky thing. So as far as like going back and when you said to just stick with something, I don't think people, nobody gets into a marriage and says like, I'm going to get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
It just, that doesn't happen. We know that the intention when you marry somebody is this will work and it will stay and we will have kids if that's what we desire, or maybe not, but it will carry us through, through the process of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Until someone passes or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
And, there's a high percentage now of people getting divorced, especially in that mid age range.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a, variety of reasons for that, but it is tough. It's a very, very emotional, it's a tough thing for people to go through. So
Yeah.
yes, I understand through experience what it feels like.
For sure. And there's one, there, like you mentioned, there are many reasons why people get divorced. And that, I think that I didn't understand once I read the statistics is about older generation, the baby boomers getting divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, I'm like, okay, so you have made it through this long, right? But I don't know that. I actually want to have a conversation with someone in that age range, right? To just kind of explain it to me. What just explain that to me, because it is, divorce is not, especially at that time in your life, you don't want to have to be dealing with that, And then another thing that you were mentioning is the stigma that divorce has. So some people don't, when we go through that, we lose, I want to say, actually, share with me, Kim, did you lose friends that you thought were your friends while getting a divorce, going through it?
Yeah. So my divorce it actually was pretty public. When I was married, my ex-husband and I were together for 25 years. We had built a few businesses together, and in the community that we live in, our community's smaller, but we were very prominent within our community. So it was public within that community. There were a lot of people that it affected, a lot of people, because we knew a lot of people, and there was a lot of talk around that. So it's not public in the way that like a celebrity would have public, but within our little community, it was very public. So the answer to your question is yes, I lost a lot of people. I lost family members. It was really difficult. That was the hardest thing, the loss of people, because when you go through something like that, I don't think that clicks in your mind. Like I might lose people besides my relationship and all this other stuff that I have to deal with. You're not thinking that, oh, I'm losing people too, and friends and acquaintances and family members and all that too. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah. And those are the things like, okay, it's just like in a breakup, right? You lose friends and all of that, but a divorce is a little bit more intricate because of all of the involved. There's more things involved. I just couldn't believe that even tight, close friends would just, like, I realized that they were not friends anymore.
It's heartbreaking sometimes.
It is. I mean, you're going through a tough time. And now over here, you're losing friends also. And the hardest thing for me, and I would like you to share the hardest thing for you when you went through losing friends, was friends stopped sending me Christmas cards. I was like, why though? You know what I mean? Like, why? I'm like such a sentimental person when it comes to all of that, right? So I was like, why would you? And it's the stigma, and it is what society has made a divorce sound like. Just like you were saying, you're like, I don't want to be in a categorized as divorced. I don't want to be in that category. But it's how society has made it for. I mean, I see it in a way that yes, it should be made a little bit hard so that the family union can stay, but at the same time, come on, just I don't know, just go share, please, what happened to you and what was the hardest part for you when losing friends. Like, what was it for you?
There were a lot of hard parts for me. Losing friends, because like I said, it's not expected.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not blatant. It's not like a real direct, like I clearly know that I lost this person or that person. That
Mm-hmm.
the lines get blurred a little bit. And then you start to see like, wow, I don't, did I not have a lot of friends? What was going on? Even harder than the friends was the loss of like family members for me was beyond that. That was extremely difficult. I had a sibling I lost because of it.
Mm.
And that was harder than the friends or anything else. Like I said, it's not expected. And sometimes you get blindsided, but at the same time, you can't dwell on that too long because you can get caught in that trap of looking at everything you lost, everything, not only that, the physical remains of a divorce when you have to separate everything, you lose your relationship, your kids get shuffled here, there, and everywhere, and then the people, and you can start to go down this really dark hole. You go down the rabbit hole with noticing like everything is going away from me. And now what? What is left? What do I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? All that has to come up and surface too. So my biggest thing was I had to stop looking, and that was hard for me. And in all honesty, that was very hard for me to stop looking at all the things that I was losing, and
Mm-hmm.
instead to shift my focus in how to create new things. Because those are my two options. I can either get stuck in everything that I'm losing or lost, or start creating new things. And that's what I had to do, was create again.
And thank you for sharing that, because creating is creating a new life, creating
Mm-hmm.
actually revisiting the same spots that you used to visit with your ex-husband as a family, and then actually going back to the same places again and making them your own experience, right? Not actually just, I'm not going to that place again because we used to go there. For me, that was one of the hardest things.
Mm-hmm.
But then I continue going and I will create my own experiences, and then it started getting okay. So, it was good. So that you mentioned is, create again and recreate, build your own life. It's a new life.
Mm-hmm.
You literally, it's a brand new life. The life that you knew when you were married is completely different than the life of when you get a divorce. It just sucks. I mean, it just sucks. The
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. It just sucks until you find yourself again, until you create your life again, and all of that. And so, that's why at the beginning we were mentioning, if you can do this, right? If you can try, go for it. But sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes a
Mm-hmm.
person gives up. Sometimes, like, some of the causes of marriage to end up in divorce they were mentioning here was infidelity, lack of commitment, which is it's just hard. Lack of commitment, because one person can be totally in it and the other person isn't. What are you gonna do? You
Mm-hmm.
know, alcohol addiction and substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
financial issues, conflict and irreconcilable differences, and sexual incompatibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, those are
Yeah.
tough. Those are
Mm-hmm.
those are some causes, and in some instances, a marriage can experience more than one of these.
Right. Right. And they're hard to fix because a lot of times when things start to go south or they start to roll in one direction, you've got with the two team players,
Mm-hmm.
both spouses, you got your team players, and one person wants to do something and wants to make it work, and the other person doesn't. They have no interest. They've checked out, whatever it is. So now you're working like it's just one trying to save a marriage and the other one has no interest. Well, that marriage is done, because you can't change other people, right? So the only way that you can save something is if both people notice we got to do this and they truly want to, not because they feel forced or because they feel they have to, but because they truly want to. That's the only way it's going to work. Both people got to get on board and work together. And that's, it's like anything. It's a lot of work to make things successful, whether it be a relationship or a business or, something in your life. To really have it flourish, you have to put care into it. And it has to put effort into it.
Yeah, and that I was reading a book by this author. He's a divorce lawyer and he's an author. He wrote a book and he says something. His book is pretty good. Kim, you should read it, and you guys, you should read it. He writes, falling out of love is very slow, and it is. I'm like, yes, it is. All of a sudden, you realize that you're like, I'm done. I what happened? And even to us is a surprise, because it's like it happened slowly. You didn't notice it. It was the little things. It was the I'll talk to you later, and it's having the phone in your hand and realizing that you're not important to that person. Right? Is coming home late because they have to work late. It's all of these things that accumulate, and all of a sudden, it's like I'm done.
Yep. And done is a pretty strong word. When one person gets to the point of being done, they're done. Yeah. Done is done.
Yeah.
And it's hard to bring that back around to be successful.
For sure.
So you got to try to, you have to be tuned in enough to see signs. And usually we don't, because we're so busy with our life. And one day that goes on to the next day that we don't really notice the signs until they become so big or so dramatic. Then we see them. But leading up to it, they're hard to see because you're not looking for them.
It is true. It is so true. And it is like, okay, we had I was telling you, I had a question from this viewer who sent it to me privately, and she wrote, how, when you are in a rough patch with your husband, how do you come back from it, right? How do you bring it back? And the driftness that happens is what happens over time, right? And all of a sudden, it's like we have nothing to talk about. At this point, sometimes the children are not even in the home, right? Because when the children are in the home, you have a lot to talk about. You have a lot of school to do and all the sports and all these things, right? Like there's a lot to talk about. But when they're gone, where's the couple?
Right. And that's where you said earlier that a lot of divorces are happening in older age now. I think over 50 and above, the divorce rate is really skyrocketing.
Right.
And that is people, sometimes we don't like to really admit, but people grow, people change, things change, the way we feel about each other changes. And that's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
And that's where you just have to accept, like, okay, the things are changing. Either make the best of it, figure out what to do, reconcile, or if it's possible, but don't hang on to something that isn't there.
Right. And I mean, like, relationships are, if you have for example, your person, right? And like you're mentioning growing, and you're allowed your person to grow. And you are growing at the same time. And then there's this support in the middle. That is the fairy tale, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to support you, right? I'm going to support you in everything you do. And it doesn't happen that way, really.
No.
And a lot of what's happening right now with younger marriages is that now, compared to many years before, women are in the workforce, right? We're working, we're making our own money, and we need a partner, right? We need a partner to be with us. And at the same time, the gender roles are still blurred, that line, right? The woman is working, okay, good. But then when she comes back home, she still has to do everything that a mom does, right? And a wife and a husband. So there's so much. It's a lot. There's a lot that a woman has to do. I'm not saying that men don't do their part, right? They are. But these are the statistics that are out there that women are still doing all of these things. They're working. 40% of us women are in the workforce right now. And then we come back home and we still are expected to be moms and wives, cleaning the house, doing all these things. I mean, that's exhausting. And then we have to have time for the husband. Kim.
Yeah, that's and I don't know if that's going to change. So, we look at these things and we say, well, women are out there in the workforce partly because they want to get out of the house, they want to feel semi-independent. But another reason is because the cost of living is so high now that you need two incomes. So now the female that years ago used to be able to be home and do the domestic duties has to pull both. And it's great if you can have a partner that understands that. But still the main caretaker, not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time, is the mother when in the family unit. And like I said, that's not going to change because you want to be the caretaker. You want to take care of your kids. There's just has to be some, and I don't like to use the word balance because there is balance. When we hear the word balance, we immediately think like, oh, 50-50. No, it's not a 50-50. It doesn't work like that, but kind of this give and take, this flow a little bit more, and getting women to realize, just to realize and not be so stressed in the home or with the kids, where it's becoming like problematic or it's becoming not enjoyable in the household. And I say that because, so as you know, I got remarried. I have 5 kids. My 5th baby I had, and your viewers might laugh at me. I was 1 month shy of turning 47 when I had a baby. Okay. So the other 4 children are older. My oldest son is 24.
Okay.
And during that time, you're younger, you have more energy. But the good thing about this is I have this toddler now. I see how fast that went. So all those domestic duties when I was in the house and trying to take care of the kids and clean the house and cook and do all the normal things, I look back and I go, it's gone. It flew by. So now I am much more conscious with my toddler. She's 2 now. And I am trying to enjoy every second of doing all of those things with her because I can see. And if we can shift our perspective a little bit, even though we're stressed, even though we're busy, even though that we have to work or come back home and dinner's not done, dishes are in the sink, laundry needs to be done. We know all of the things that have to be done in the house. But if we can sit back and understand, really understand that time period is so short. It's so short and it doesn't stay forever. It'll help kind of relieve some of the stress so you can function a little bit better in the house.
Maybe, right? Because like that's great, Kim. That's a great unicorn right there. Because we have a kid and okay, and especially a toddler, and it does help to have the experience of having had children and having experience. It's like, okay, we're older now and we know how things went. We now have you have a 24-year-old son. Your oldest is 24, so you have some things, so you're enjoying things now, but you also have a lot of experience on how to maneuver a household, right? How to maneuver a household. So that leads me to a question, and I would like you guys also to give your input. And Kim, a question for you is: do you feel that couples should be first, and then children, or children first and then the couple?
Good question. It would be depending on the time period of your life. And when you say first, that is first in what, right? So what is the question? Yeah. First how? First in what? First, what do you mean by first?
So, for example, it's been busy bringing the kids to school and sports and all these things, and okay, let's plan a family vacation, and it's been busy. The couple themselves are just exhausted because of all the things that's been happening. Do you go on a family vacation, or do you go on a couples retreat?
That's a good question. Depending on, so you got to analyze the situation. Have you been on family vacations? Would you like to go? Have you been just you and your husband together? They say if you go on regular or at least semi-regular date nights with your spouse, that can encompass a lot of together time. You don't need an extended 2-week period together. Okay. But if we can do little things together, even if it's just, a lot of families with younger kids, it's hard to get a babysitter. It's hard, or maybe they might be financially
But you
strapped.
have built-in babysitters. I mean, if they're still home,
built-in babysitters, let me tell you, those kids don't jump to the fact that they're going to babysit a 2-year-old. No. We do have grandma, though, right down the street, so that helps. But the other ones, no, I don't think they're too keen on babysitting. Anyways, going back, regular date nights, even just an hour together for dinner or a movie together or something, that does wonders for a relationship. Like I said, it doesn't need to be something, people might rush to the fact and think a 2-week vacation in Aruba is going to fix everything and they're going to come back, connected and close together. Well, that 2-week vacation, and you do it once every how many years? So it's the regular little things that are going to help. So it's not necessarily who's first, but it's understanding you've been dealing with the kids and they are taken care of and they have their sports and their activities and their school and you're involved in everything. And then when they go to bed, you've got an hour to sit with your spouse, do a puzzle together, or put on a movie, or just sit and chat. They've got all sorts of things, games.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes that definitely helps. It definitely helps. But I do believe vacations, going on dates, definitely, yes. Going on dates is imperative to keep the relationship fun and fresh, right? Because you're out of your environment, and then you're doing different things. But when it comes to, the kids are done and they went to sleep, now let's go. I don't know about you, Kim, but that barely happened. When the kids went to sleep, I would be like done. I'll be just like, okay, I'm going to bed. I'm gonna sit down on the couch and watch Lifetime and fall asleep 20 minutes after. Like, that's literally,
And I get, if you have a toddler, that's definitely true.
Exactly.
Then you need a babysitter.
Right. Yeah. And those are the things, like making these a routine, right? Making time to be a couple. And you mentioned something that reminded me of this excerpt that I have from Sexton, the author and divorce lawyer. He writes, right? So we mentioned that falling out of love is very slow. It happens very slowly. So he goes, and not falling out of love, like not gaining weight, isn't about dramatic gestures or heroic acts. It's about relentless daily commitment to small actions. It is about doing things, not climbing up to avoid the fight, not complaining about how the towels are folded, reaching out a hand in a tense conversation. In other words, love is a verb. Right? So it's just like basically what you just mentioned. Right? You have to do these things. You have to be present in your relationship. And sometimes the children are a distraction. They are. They're a distraction of things happen because you're there and you. Yeah, Kim. Or just take it.
They are a distraction sometimes, yes, depending on your kids, how old they are. But you it's usually like if you were bringing up folding the towels or complaining about the towels, those nagging, who's taking out the trash kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually signaling something else is going on. So if you find yourself nagging, like, whatever it is, the trash, just take for example, your husband doesn't take the trash out on, Monday night. Um, is it really the trash? So, when you find yourself, is it really the towels? Like, because we know that's really not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of get to what's under that. Why are you so irritated?
Mm-hmm.
What are you so on edge for? So a lot of that is reflection on yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
behaviors. So if we can, step back and self-reflect a little bit more. Why do I say these things? Or why do I want
Mm-hmm.
this done so badly? Why don't I just do it myself? Or what is that, so start to reflect a little bit more. And a lot of that has to do too with emotional intelligence and understanding things at a deeper level. Sometimes we forget about that too. So the growth aspect in thinking before you respond and not being so reactive. We have an extremely reactive society over everything, um, and
Especially now.
at
I mean,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have to be able to, and that's a maturity thing
Mm-hmm.
that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're younger, or if you have tendencies to act out in certain ways, it kind of goes along with being just a little bit more, just a little younger in
Mm-hmm.
actions, a little more juvenile.
Yeah.
So maturity helps you to understand that I need to respond to something on the right level.
Right. Yeah. And it's being mature enough to know, like you're saying, and being uh, emotionally intelligent to enough to say, this might not be the moment to bring this up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I know him or I know her, and I love her. I love him, right? I know this is not the right time. But
Right.
sometimes that is not the road that is taken. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time that isn't. It is almost like our partner is our opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not a good way to dealing with things. And all of a sudden you are in this web of going back and forth that
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is it again that, and that forms a wedge. It does. It forms a wedge, and every time an argument happens, it just forms a wedge. And this is when it is a good time to just break away and relax as much as we can, because now we're older, right? If we're talking to about couples being married between 20 and 30 years, we're older, we know what's up, right? We
Mm-hmm.
know what's up. We can't just be, oh no, this is not immaturity, although it could be, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
chances are there isn't. Chances are there's something else that being accumulated, that now the towel is getting it, and now the dishes are getting it, and now the garbage is getting it, right? It's just so much. But Kim, question for you. From your divorce and experiencing going through it, your husband, you had a business with him. How was it, divorcing both, right? Because you had to divorce your husband and the business. And what advice do you have for perhaps, I don't even want to mention this, but for other couples who are getting divorced and are in the same situation?
This is a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the business. Okay. So her business was martial arts. And there's a lot of aspects that go into when you divorce, how things, depending on you have state laws that you have to deal with, right? And it helps to be educated. As I look back, we started our business extremely young, like 18 years old. So a lot of times when you're that young, you're not thinking that I need to be educated in all these other areas, especially state law, and what would happen if things separate. Um, so lack of education, especially in women, and I find this, and I'm not picking on men. So as I, term this, that things happen to women, it isn't, I'm not picking on your male viewers,
Mm-hmm.
but it is more typical for women to let the man take the role in the financial department, or to
Mm-hmm.
make business decisions,
Mm-hmm.
or to take care of paperwork or contracts or whatever that is. And the female to be like, okay, just tell me what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I trust you. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so to educate yourself, that's a huge, if you are
Mm-hmm.
in business together, make sure you're educated on the ins and outs of everything. Because when you do divorce, and if your business has to separate in some finance, that's going to be, or could be, financially devastating. So you want to make sure that that you're well versed in all the areas. And that was where I don't want to say I made a mistake, but I was so young when I started, we started our businesses, that wasn't on my mind. It wasn't something that I was educated in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how would you know, right? Because like we mentioned, if we've been saying through the whole episode, we get married and we don't expect to get a divorce. So we trust the people
Mm-hmm.
that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
right? We trust
Mm-hmm.
everything that they're doing. But being educated doesn't mean that you don't trust your partner. Educating yourself about it, that's actually helping out the business, because the more you know, the more you're gonna help out. But if there is a different intent on the other person, then there will be a resistance then there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something else that needs to be looked at. But when it comes to being in partner, being in business together, there should not be any resistance in either part, right? It should be a mutual, okay, this is our business, let's go together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's we're sorry that happened, to you, because it definitely is tough going
Mm-hmm.
through all of that. But now you're remarried, right? You have your
I
own
did.
business, right?
Yeah.
Have a brand new baby.
I know.
So how was dating after divorce for you? Let's take it there, Kim.
Okay, so you want to hear the funny story that I say all the time about how my husband and I met each other?
Yes,
Because
please.
I find this, and he laughs at me every time I tell this story, because it's like my favorite story. First of all, dating, as far as I didn't really, I'm a homebody, so I like to stay home. I don't like to go out and go, a lot of places. So I knew for me that would be really hard. And my ex-husband, we had gotten together. We started dating at 16. So it's not
Mm.
like I had a lot of experience in the dating world before him. Anyway, so my current husband, we had met at a gathering of someone's home. They invited me over to their home. They were having a little family gathering. And I remember thinking the day that originally I was like, yeah, I'll be there. Okay, I'll go. And then the day of, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? I don't feel like going. Okay, so I talk myself. And if you're the same way, I don't know, and maybe some of your viewers, where you go, I'll just go for an hour. I'll go, I'll say hi, and after an hour I'll leave.
Right.
So he was there, and we had met at this family gathering. He didn't speak English. My
Mm.
husband is from Cuba. Okay.
Hey.
He is from Cuba. And when we first met, his English was very, very broken. So the first 6 months of our relationship, we had to Google Translate because we couldn't speak the same language.
Okay.
And so that we always say, like, that's the greatest. I feel like that's such like a cute little love story or something. I don't know, because we couldn't talk to each other.
That reminds me of Married at First. No, wait, it's a 90 Day Fiance. That's
Oh yeah,
the show, and then they use the Google Translate. Look at Google making couples,
I
bringing couples
know.
together.
Except for, have you ever used Google Translate with somebody, like in real conversation? Nothing translates.
Oh my gosh!
So,
So the
yeah.
first 6 months it was Google Translate. Okay,
Mhm.
so do you know Spanish now?
No, no, no. So we we had to we focused really hard on getting his English up, up to par. And my husband is extremely intelligent. He learned English fluently in 6 months.
Nice.
Um, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon and didn't practice my Spanish. Although when I went to Cuba, I thought I had it down pretty well. I thought my ear was tuned into it, and I thought I would be able to understand everything just perfectly.
Uh-huh.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, for him it's easier because he's surrounded by English.
Mm-hmm.
He has to. But for you, it's you have to. You have
Yeah,
to.
it was hard.
So okay, so then now communication is awesome 6 months later, and then apparently it's awesome because you have a
We have a baby. Yes.
even though you don't need that type of communication, but it's like, okay, so dating was like a meant to be thing for you because you actually were not dating, you just went
Right.
to this
And it
place.
wasn't expected. Like I was, it happened that I wasn't out there looking for somebody. I wasn't, on the hunt or on the prowl or like looking around for what am I going to do with myself? And it just happened to kind of fall into place. So yeah, so I guess I really don't have any advice in the dating world.
No, okay, so let me ask you this question then, and for you guys, who are watching right now, what are your thoughts on um what are your thoughts on dating right after getting out of a relationship? Like right after, like there's some people actually probably when they're still in the marriage, they start dating.
Oh, well,
Not infidelity though. Like they're done, right? They're done. They're saying, okay, we're done. But then they start dating before they even have started their divorce paper process or any of that stuff that takes forever.
it does. Yeah, I don't know if I want to give advice or what I think people should do in that department, but we clearly know, as adults, what are good decisions and what are not good decisions. And probably starting to, a lot of times people are really quick to look for somebody else or to kind of get that person to catch on to because they're fearful, right? And they're nervous and so they get somebody there just to have as a security measure. And that is that I would not recommend doing that. Okay, that's not the right approach. So
As your life coach.
it isn't, and you know that because if somebody was to do that and then they look back years later, they would probably tell themselves, "Yeah, that was not a good idea."
Right. Exactly.
So as much as you can, take care of your, the initial process of separating and kind of moving things along before you go out there to find another relationship. And that should be kind of like that's not a priority at the moment. The priority
Right.
is to kind of clean up what you have, and make sure that you're ready, because would you technically be at your best for somebody else at that time? Right.
I mean, that is a good question to ask because everything that goes through when people are going through divorce and then having a relationship on top of that in your other relationship is not even done, is actually is yeah, that will not be a good decision. And it's true what you just mentioned. It's like sometimes we do it and then we look back and we're like, yeah, well, no, that could have yeah, I could have handled that differently, right? I should have done something else. But and this is why we're here, to share with you, right? The things that just not to do them because you make your own decisions, you're an adult, but just think about the decisions, right, that you're gonna make. So to make sure that you are stable yourself first before
Right,
you
because you
invite.
have to present yourself as a good partner. Okay, it's not just you looking for somebody else who's a good partner, but somebody needs to be looking at you that you're a good partner for them
Yes.
also.
And Kim, we're almost there. Like I just saw it flashing on the side. I'm like, oh, okay, we're almost there. So for Kim has a special
Yes.
offer for you, the viewers, whether you are on the replay or you are live right now. And Kim, I'm gonna pull up your website so that you can then talk about the offer.
Okay, so if you scroll down, because the offer is not on the website, so it will say, like, scrolling all the way down to the bottom where it says to book a discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
So for any of your viewers, to book a free discovery call. So
Okay.
for any of your viewers that would be interested in either trying out a coaching session, I have what I call a power hour. So it's a one-on-one coaching session for 60 minutes covering one topic of your choice. And the coaching, and just to clarify what coaching is or what life coaching is, it's not a therapy session. So a coaching session, it's more of a brainstorming. It's to help the client gain clarity on what is best for them and the solutions that work best for them. So the coach asks certain questions to get the client to kind of come up with their own process or what they need to work on. So there is a difference. Like sometimes people kind of blur that line and think that coaching is therapy, and it's not. So I just want to be super clear with that. A coach's job is to get you from your starting point and move you from that starting point to where you want to be and get you there as quick as possible. So as far as the offer for your viewers, anybody that, if you book a discovery call or send me an email at kimhernandezcoaching@gmail.com and mention that they saw this episode, there's $50 off for a one-on-one power hour for your viewers.
Nice. And as soon as we mentioned that and we went to the website, we saw the numbers drop. So I'm guessing they went to your website, but they didn't hear how much it was. Like if you just came back, it's $50 off the full price.
$50 off the one-on-one power hour.
Yes. And then you also have your Instagram right here. So if you guys can follow, if you guys liked what Kim had to say about life coaching as well as anything, because it could be even about divorce, right? Like it could be where they're at right now and you meet them where they're at and then creating a plan on how to move forward, right?
Exactly, because we want to move forward. We want to move forward from where we are and get out of that space.
That's
start
right.
Creating.
Let's start creating. And then, of course, you guys, my page right here, officially unofficial on Instagram. And if you click on the link tree right here, you scroll down, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me. It could be about photography or it could be about live streaming. If you are interested about live streaming or creating a production, anything like that, you can go in here and you can send me an email or you can contact all of my socials are there. If you would like to be a guest on the show, though, you can send me an email at officiallyunofficialtv@gmail.com. And also, if you would like to support Officially Unofficial TV, you can visit buymeacoffee.com/Anna Gill and support that way as well. But again, if you would like to be a guest on the show, send us an email at officiallyunofficialtv@gmail.com and let us know your expertise in the area of mental health. Next week, speaking of that, we have my good friend, Tracy Megler, and she is the owner of the founder of Safe Space Central New York, and she's going to be talking to us about eating, right? About the decisions that we make surrounding eating, as well as any other decision that we make that we say, we will start tomorrow or we will do it Monday. Why we do that? What is the mindset around that? So she's going to be talking to us about that. She is amazing. She was a guest with us before and you guys really loved her. So she will be back here talking to us about that. thank you so much for being here with us. And Trey, thank you so much, Kim, for being here with us and sharing your experiences with us. I mean, yeah, the divorce is not, it's not easy. Sometimes it needs to be done. And then we went through some tips on if you want to keep your relationship alive. These are the things that you need to do. You need to be active. You need to be present in your relationships. But if you have to end it, right? It's Kim, I'll let you close that part because you have a really good handle on that.
Yes, if you have to end it, if you would like to end it, seek out you're going to need a support system. And typically a professional support system somewhere is going to be your best bet. So seek out some support, keep yourself educated, make sure that you have some income, make sure you have a job, because you're going to need income. A lot of people, and I think we didn't go through statistics, but I want to say I pulled up some statistics earlier, and the rate of, it says 60% of the people in the poverty guidelines are divorced women with children. So we want to make sure that these women are equipped with what they need to move forward in life, and income is going to be one of them. So just make sure you stay educated, get your support, have a job in line. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but that's going to give you the confidence to move forward, because we got to get these women confident. So if they do want to leave a relationship, that they're able to do so.
That is right on. You see, you know your thing. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. We will be seeing you next Thursday right here with Tracy Meckler. My name is Ana Gil, and you are watching Officially Unofficial TV. We come live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye, you guys. Have a great rest of Thursday and an amazing weekend.